While I was fighting my grandfather, I realized I couldn't knock him out in my base form, so I finally decided to reveal my true demon back form, the golden adamantine demon brain and demon back form, and then I began to severely injure my grandfather, and then I finally got hold of my anger and frustration, and then I proceeded to barely hurt my grandfather. I just severely injured his arms, and then I finally did it. I disabled all his limbs using my non-lethal technique, and he said, "Well played, grandson," and I said, "Is your arm alright, old man?" And he said, "It will heal very quickly, but I'm more concerned about what you did to my brain that takes precision, because if not applied in the correct place it could be lethal to any human including us." And the announcer said Bobby Cooper Hanma is the winner, and after that all the other contestants in the tournament tried their best to fight me, and for once I allowed the fights to drag out longer than I was supposed to, even with my brothers, but after a while I got bored and I decided to end it, so I knocked them all out after a bit of time, and I won the Great Right Eye tournament, and then I went back home and I had sex with my wife for a long time, and I enjoyed every moment with my beautiful wife Grace, and me and my beautiful wife Grace McKenna Hanma lived and loved and made babies, all of which grew up to be big and strong, and my father trained them, and so did I and the other martial artist I knew, and like me my sons and daughters were gifted. And then I went back to that old garage and I bought it from Daryl for about $5 million, and he said, "Sure man, go right ahead, you can have it all, I'm retiring bro." And I go right ahead and I repaired all the cars in the junkyard, as I used all the tools to repair them to mint condition. Everyone came to buy the old beautiful cars I was selling at my garage, and I decided to go back to that old house of Grace's, and we decided to live there, and I took the job as the best mechanic in town, and I didn't charge people a lot of money either, not like Daryl did, and I became the town mechanic, and people paid me thousands of dollars, even millions, to buy the old cars I repaired and reinforced. They were so impressed with my work that mechanics came from all over the world to pay me a lot of money to learn my mechanic skills as an automotive service engineer, and I was seeing a lot of money from this over the years, so stayed at Harlan's old garage and I renamed it to Bobby's Garage. And Daryl even came back to work for me, and he said, "Damn man, I can't keep up with you, how are you so fucking strong bro?" And I said, "I train every day Daryl, I'm a mixed martial artist, remember?" "Oh yeah, I almost forgot, you're Yujiro Hanma's son." And he asked, "How is the old man?" And I said, "Well, he's been training my children and I think they are planning on killing me one day." And Daryl said, "Your family is weird dude," and I smiled and said, "Yeah they are, but I love them." And he said, "But dude, they are training to kill you." And I said, "Shut up Daryl, get back to work, you're on my dime now." And he said, "Okay boss." And every time someone came to town I didn't make them pay much money to get their cars repaired, but Daryl tried to do it often, and I had to say, "Wait, don't listen to him, we don't charge that much money here, we only charge what we are supposed to for the labor." And then one day Yujiro Hanma showed up and said, "Hi son, could you take a look at my car?" And Daryl said, "Oh shit, that's him." And I said, "Yes sir, you might want to go inside Daryl, it might get dangerous out here." And I said, "What do you want father?" And he said, "I just came to see a mechanic about getting my car fixed, and I also came to see your family." And Yujiro Hanma said, "I've been here before, and this place was a junkyard once, you cleaned up all the cars here and fixed them, didn't you son?" And I said, "Yes sir, it keeps my hands strong and I like to punch steel, it makes my punches stronger." And he said, "I see, let me see your knuckles." And he said, "They are very large now, significantly bigger." And he said, "How do you manage to write?" And I said, "I figured out another way to correct the mistakes that are made during that type of training." Yujiro said, "So working here in this small town with all these cars, it wasn't by chance or accident? No, you did this on purpose to strengthen your body even further, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes sir, I sure did pick this place for a reason, plus I also like fixing things, especially old cars." And then I examined and repaired Yuhiro's car, and it looked like he damaged it all on purpose just to come and see me. Yujiro was driving a 1972 Dodge Challenger 340, and I said, "Dad, do you want to sell that car or trade it? I got some nice ones over there." And Yujiro Hanma said, "No, my custom Dodge Challenger is not for sell, but I could fight you for it." And I asked, "Is that all you think about is fighting?" And Yujiro said, "Don't play that shit with me, you're a Hanma, we train and live to fight. As long as we are alive we yearn for a great battle."